before it became the most powerful nation on Earth. America was just a vast, unknown land, covered in forests, rivers, mountains, and silence. For thousands of years, this land belonged to Native American civilizations, people who built communities, traded across regions, and lived in harmony with nature. But everything changed in 1492. When Christopher Columbus reached the Americas, he opened the door to a new era, an era of exploration, conquest, and conflict. Soon, powerful European empires arrived. Spain, France, and Britain began claiming land that was already inhabited. Among them, Britain would leave the deepest mark. By the early 1700s, Britain had built 13 colonies along the eastern coast of North America. Life in these colonies was difficult. The land was harsh, survival was uncertain, and danger was everywhere. But slowly, these small settlements grew into thriving communities. People came from across Europe, seeking freedom, opportunity, and a new beginning. However, there was one problem. The British Crown still controlled everything. They imposed taxes, they enforced strict laws, and they gave the colonists no voice in their own future. The people of the colonies grew angry. They believed in one powerful idea: no taxation without representation. Tensions rose, protests spread, and soon the first shots were fired. In 1775, the American Revolution began. Farmers, workers, and ordinary citizens stood against the greatest empire in the world. They were outnumbered, outgunned, outreigned, but they had something stronger. They had the belief that they deserved freedom. Led by General George Washington, the colonies fought a long, brutal war for independence, and in 1776, they made a bold declaration to the world. They declared that all men are created equal, and that they had the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. After 8 years of war, against all odds, the colonies. When the United States of America was born, but freedom was only the beginning. The new nation faced an enormous challenge. It had to build a government, create laws, and unite people from different colonies into one country. In 1787, the Constitution was written, a document that would define how the nation would be governed. A system of democracy was created. Power would belong to the people. As the nation grew, it began to expand westward. Through purchases, exploration, and migration, America's borders stretched across the continent. But this expansion came at a terrible cost. Native American lands were taken. Tribes were forced to move. Cultures were destroyed. At the same time, another deep conflict was growing inside the nation. Slavery. In the southern states, millions of enslaved people were forced to work in brutal conditions. In the north, many believed slavery was wrong and must end. The nation was divided. And in 1861, that division exploded into war, the Civil War, the bloodiest conflict in American history. Brother fought against brother. State against state. The Union, led by President Abraham Lincoln, fought to keep the nation together and end slavery. After 4 long years of suffering and loss, the Union was victorious. Slavery was abolished, but the country was left wounded and divided. Yet from that destruction, America began to rebuild. The late 1800s brought a new era, the Industrial Age. Railroads connected the country from coast to coast. Factories rose across cities. Steel, oil, and industry transformed the economy. Millions of immigrants arrived from Europe and beyond, bringing hope, culture, and labor. Cities like New York and Chicago exploded with growth. America was no longer a young nation. It was becoming an industrial giant. Then, in the 20th century, the world was thrown into chaos. World War I began in Europe. At first, America stayed out of the conflict, but eventually, it entered the war and helped bring it to an end. A generation later, an even greater war would begin. World War II. After the devastating attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, America entered the war with full force. Factories turned into war production machines. Soldiers fought across Europe and the Pacific. After years of battle, the Allies won. And when the war ended, the world had changed forever. The United States emerged as a global superpower. But peace did not last. Soon, a new kind of conflict began. Cold War, a silent battle between the United States and the Soviet Union. Two superpowers, competing for influence, power, and control. It led to the nuclear arms race, the space race, and decades of global tension. Inside the United States, another revolution was taking place. The fight for civil rights, African Americans and other minorities demanded equality. Led by powerful voices like Martin Luther King Jr., millions marched, protested, and demanded justice. Slowly, laws began to change. Segregation ended. Civil rights were protected. America was transforming again. In the modern era, the nation has faced new challenges. Terrorist attacks, like 9/11's economy crisis, political division. At the same time, it has led the world in technology, innovation, and culture. From the invention of the internet, to space exploration, to global influence in business and media. The United States remains one of the most powerful nations on Earth. But its story has never been simple. It is a story of struggle, of conflict, of sacrifice, and of constant change. From a wild, untamed land, to a fragile group of colonies, to a divided nation, to a global superpower. America's journey has shaped the modern world. And even today, its story is still being written. The future of America is still unfolding, one moment at a time. But the story of America did not end with becoming a superpower. In many ways, that was only the beginning of a new chapter. As the 21st century began, America entered an age of rapid change, unlike anything before. Technology began reshaping daily life. The internet connected the world. Smartphones put knowledge in everyone's hands. Social media changed how people communicate, think, and even influence society. American companies became global giants. From Silicon Valley to Wall Street, innovation drove the country forward. But with progress came new challenges. Economic inequality grew. Political divisions became sharper, and society became more complex than ever before. Then, in 2001, a moment arrived that would shake the nation to its core: the attacks of September 11th. For the first time in modern history, America felt vulnerable on its own soil. The skyline of New York changed forever, and the country entered a new era of global conflict and security. Yet even in moments of tragedy, America showed resilience. Communities united, people rebuilt, and the nation continued forward. In the years that followed, America led in science and technology. Space exploration returned to the spotlight. Private companies joined the mission to reach beyond Earth. Electric cars, artificial intelligence, and renewable energy began shaping the future. American culture spread across the world through music, movies, and media. At the same time, the country faced difficult questions. What does equality truly mean? How should power be used? What kind of future should be built? Protests, movements, and debates became part of everyday life. Because America has always been a place where ideas are challenged, and change is possible. Today, the United States stands at another turning point. It remains one of the most influential nations on Earth. Its economy is one of the largest. Its military is one of the strongest. Its culture reaches every corner of the globe. But its greatest strength has never been power. It has been the ability to adapt, to evolve, to rebuild, to question itself, and improve. From revolution to civil war, from industrial growth to global leadership, America has always been defined by transformation. And now, the next chapter is already being written by new generations, new ideas, and new challenges. The future of America will not look like its past. But if history has shown anything, it is that this nation has the ability to rise again and again. Because America is not just a place, it is an idea that freedom matters, that opportunity should exist, and that people have the power to shape their own future. That idea has inspired millions across centuries, and it continues to shape the world today. So when we look at America, we are not just looking at a country, we are looking at a story of struggle and triumph, of mistakes and progress, of destruction and rebuilding. A story that is still unfolding right now, and whatever comes next will become the next chapter in the story of America.